All right, go ahead, Jody.
Well, it was funny because I have another story to share later, but I just checked my email for when we were introduced, David, and Josh introduced us June 13th, which was 3 years ago yesterday. I was like in
No
my
How
email.
way.
random.
Yeah, there's nothing random, but just
I
it's
know that's true.
so funny. But
Was it
yeah.
was it at one of our events that we put on? Like, was it?
So it was after you did your video with David, and so
Oh,
you did a mutual introduction via email. And then
that's
I
right.
think you hosted a class. That's where I actually met David,
Got it.
like a video or marketing class,
Yeah.
maybe after
Yeah.
that. Yep. So, but I just was checking when David and I met, and it was that email just popped up, and it was June 13th of 2018 that you
Oh,
sent an introduction email for both of us.
that's awesome.
How crazy.
I
Yeah.
know.
So June
Well,
13th, so just this weekend. Oh,
Just
wait,
yesterday,
just
like 3 years
yesterday.
ago yesterday. Yeah.
I wonder if it would have been like popped up on my Facebook or something where I would have had like the event or a picture or something.
Yeah, I don't remember I was looking to see when that event was, but so I just typed in David's name into my email search address and then your email introducing David and I together popped
Oh,
up.
that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. Well, I love that story. And then I love your stories. It sounds like you have another one to share with us in when we get started. Is that right?
That's correct. I'll let you start though.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Josh, you and I've done a lot of stuff together. We've been on podcasts together. Jody
Mhm.
actually has been such a foundational member to what we've started here, and really just started last week. And Mike Campos, I don't know if you know who Mike Campos is.
I do. Yep.
Yeah, so
Known him for
he
a long
he's
time too.
also been on the show, co-hosting a few episodes, and so we just we're starting off small, but I would say the people who've been involved even offline, like when I'll share snippets from the conversation, have really been like genuine, and like they literally have been telling me like they're getting value from even just the snippets. So I intend to use this and share it, and continue to create that wave of positivity. So thank you both for being on and having this conversation. We are going to try to do it for 10, 15 minutes, kind of keep it short. That way people can get on with their day, and it doesn't feel like when we have you back on, it doesn't feel like it's a big part of your morning. You can kind of get in, get what you need, and keep going. The one thing I will say is, like I mentioned before, we are recording. So if you aren't speaking, if you can just mute yourself, that way, if there's any uh, environmental noise that we can kind of tune out, the better audio we'll have long term. So, all right. So with that being said, today, we have Josh Giordani and Jody Ross here today, and we love to have the conversations around mindset. Mindset is and has been huge for me. It came to my attention definitely during 2020. I had to shift and really dig deep, and I would say mindset really was the thing that kept me going, and actually ended up really being instrumental to coming out successful out of 2020. So mindset check is what I've really been coining this whole movement that I'm hoping to spearhead, and alongside people like you both, to really just spread the word. Help people who may not look like they are challenged during the day, or throughout the day, or throughout the week, but we all know that we've been there, and if we can pull each other out of dark times, then the better I feel, the better we feel, the better we can contribute to each other's lives. So, mindset check for today is visualizing what you want to happen. And this isn't like woo woo stuff. This is literally just, if you look at studies, and I'll specifically talk on, and maybe you both have heard of this example, but Ed Milet, who I follow, who I suggest anyone who's listening, watching, Ed Milet. He's a fantastic guy to follow on social media, especially Instagram. He's on there every day, and he posts stuff that really keeps you going, really keeps you motivated, keeps you inspired. He was interviewing no one other than Phil Mickelson, who I believe is a local resident. You guys can confirm that. I believe he lives in Rancho Santa Fe. And he talked about, it was funny because I listened, and again, I know offline we talked a little bit about nothing is an accident, but I was listening to his podcast with Phil Mickelson like maybe 3 days before he won. He won the 2021 PGA Championship. Now he's, I believe, 50, and he was talking to Ed about visualization, and this was before he won. Okay. And like 3 days later, I found out he won, and it was just like, wow. This interview was recorded, I think, like a year ago. I'm not quite sure, but I know it's a little old. Anyway, so he talked about visualization, and I'm gonna quote him here. I wrote it down, and he said, "The ability to control your thoughts ultimately will lead to success, I believe, in whatever line of work you're in, because you have the ability to see what you want to happen." And he talked about, there is a study where in basketball where they shot free throws. It took 3 groups, and one group, and you guys are probably shaking your head knowing you know this example. One group just practiced every day for a week, physically just shot and practice. Another group just visualized, and they didn't even actually physically shoot a free throw. The third group did both. Now the amazing thing that happened is who do you guys think did the worst?
First group, maybe?
Yeah, so the first group did the worst, the one that just physically shot the free throw. The 2 remaining groups actually did about the same. So he said the group that just visualized, didn't even physically shoot a free throw to practice, ended up doing just as well as the group that did both, visualized and physically practiced their free throw. Now he went on to say, obviously practice both. You know, if it's going to give you an edge in any way, even if it's half a degree of an edge, then practice both, right? Visually prepare and then actually go out and physically prepare. Now we're not pro athletes, at least I'm not. So the way I apply this to my life is I go through my day the way I think the person who I want to become, that pro entrepreneur, that pro whatever, what have you, would physically go through their day. But then I visualize my day going the way I want to in my life. And another quote that he said is, visualizing and mental preparation is every bit as effective as physical preparation. When you visualize perfection. You visualize hitting the shot the way you want to. It's a powerful tool, and you really have to perform it with physical practice as well. So anyway, guys, like I said, mental diet, that's how I'm applying this, physically going through my day, weeding out the thoughts I want and don't want, seeing my day go the way I want it to. Whatever it is, maybe you're presenting value to a client. How are you doing that? Seeing that listing presentation go exactly as you like, or how you're adding value to your partners, Josh. So anyway, just want to hear your guys' thoughts. I want to open it up to you both, and see what you guys think of this, and if you've had similar concepts come across your eyes there.
Yes. Well, I think visualization is important, and I have a few things. I do, like you, David. I visualize myself as the person I want to be and become. I also have like a journal that I will write down things. My when I was selling my home and looking for a rental, I wrote down all the things that I wanted in my next home, and I'm like 99% there. Sorry, my phone rang. So that was amazing. So I've got that going. I do have a vision board as well. But when I did have some downtime last year with COVID, I started doing actual daydreaming visualization. And that just kind of leads to the story, which might feel a little woo-woo, but it's kind of like our email this morning. I didn't know Josh was going to be on, so that's kind of funny that you're on, and I was going to mention your name today.
That's
So
crazy.
it is
Love
crazy.
it.
So, I mean, it is crazy. But so last summer, I started visualizing for whatever reason. I thought I'm going to sell more multi-million dollar homes, and I had a lot of time on my hands, as we all know. So I started. All of a sudden, the number popped into my head: 22 million, a house in La Jolla. And the crazier part, David, is that you were part of the visualization. You were there to videotape our client event that we were having. A good friend of mine
That's
was
awesome.
on one side of the transaction and I was on the other. I had it down, like I visualized this for about 7 days, like every day when I'm on the treadmill, when I'm out walking. I just kept visualizing this $22 million home. I looked up on the MLS, there was only one house listed at 22 million in La Jolla. And so about 10 days later, my friend and I were chatting and we always ask, what are you doing today? What are you doing? He goes, gosh, the strangest thing, I just got a call from my office. I'm going to go show a $22 million house in La Jolla. And I was like, he told me the address. It was the same exact house that I had looked up. It was what I had been thinking that the two of us would sell together.
No way.
And so then I said to him, I'm like, wait a minute, and am I manifesting for you or for me? So I was like, but it all happened within about 2 weeks. So it was just kind of one of those, that's how powerful I think, your mind can be. And since then I did close a $2.2 million house. I was just off a zero, but it was
Hey,
just,
that's beautiful.
but the funny thing was that you were part of that visualization, and I've only had one conversation with you 3 years ago, and
Wow.
you were part of that. And then last week, you popped up, and here we are talking. So maybe it's coming still. I don't know.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, it's happened. It just
That's
has to.
amazing.
It has to cross our reality, right?
Right. So anyway, that was my story about visualization, what I wanted.
Geez, that's powerful. I mean, I can definitely see a lot of synchronicities and again, like I'm not the people I follow and I read and listen. A lot of times people can think, oh, there's a lot of woo woo in there. It's like, no, I mean, you're applying practical things in your life, but then you start to see things come together. Anytime you're creating something, an event, a team, if you do your work and you think positively and you're really mindful of what you're processing internally, then I think things come together really well. I mean, Josh and I have a similar story where we created something and he always says, like, when we sat down, like, you presented to me, well, I'll let him say it if he wants to, but just the way we were able to collaborate and bring to fruition, to reality, his vision, that wouldn't happen if, like, there wasn't that synchronicity, or if he wasn't putting it out there like, hey, I want to create this type of video, and it just so happened that that we were matched up together. But I'd love to hear from Josh.
Totally. I think the one time when we met, just to add on that, it was the way that you explain things in a different manner and created the story. I mean, I think the biggest thing about creating content is a storyline and a narrative. And I think you hit when we sat down, it was like, wow, I got goosebumps because the narrative and the storyline, you were able to create something off of the jarble in my head and make something super cool that I would never have been able to think of myself, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So
Well, cool. It was
kudos to
awesome
you.
because you entrusted us with that, and you opened yourself up to that possibility. But anyway, just I love the testimonial, and I would love to talk more about
Yeah.
that. But in terms of just like visualization and mindset, I
Yep.
know you're a big winner, big person in terms of growth. And I know when we were actually filming your video, you had I think a Gary V book out, and you were reading that, and that was part of your your growth. And so just if you can add to that, and then we'll just wrap up.
Sure. So I think at the beginning of I'll share like the beginning of COVID, I think was like the biggest aha moment for me. I thought the market was going to change and shift. And so I really focused inside of my business at that time and wrote down every single thing that I wanted to change. And I think that that was a pivotal moment for me because obviously it did not turn out slow, as Jody knows, and I'm sure as you know, it turned out to be an insane year.
Yeah.
Um, but it only helped and added to the fuel to progress. And it was awesome to be able to have the time to do that and spend more time with family and the girlfriend and things like that. So it only helped my motivation. But I had to write a big list down and
Hmm.
cross everything off and do a checklist and be able to start at the small things and work my way up to the big things. And eventually I went down that list, and that was stuff that maybe I wouldn't even have finished in a full year if it would have been a normal year. So it was great to have that, and I literally have it posted right behind my desk so I can visualize it every day and knock off, certain things each day.
That's
So
wonderful. That's wonderful.
yeah,
So,
it was great.
if you could talk a little bit about that process. So when you were, faced with an uncertain situation, there was a lot of uncertainty there, right? And you said, okay, well, similar, I think, to early conversations we had this week, it's like turning and focusing on what you can control. And you created a list, and you visualize this list coming, into your life, into your experience. Was it a list that incorporated business or life, like your family bit, like what parts of it, and how did you come up with that list, and what gave you that idea?
Yeah, it was all of it. It was personal, it was financial, it was um, and then of course it was business as well. I think one of the things on the business side, it was how do I stay in front of people and still stay relevant without bugging people and not seeing people in person anymore. So that was a big fear because we were on lockdown. So how do I stay relevant? Well, we have all of our content videos where we're doing, talking about different topics that go out each month now. So it was something consistent that I was able to create to where I wasn't like picking up the phone and bugging people and sending texts out to, check in when it was like I actually had value that I was able to add, or at least I felt like I was able to add. And then, yeah, the personal goals and financial goals, I think, were important too. I was able to check almost for this year, almost all of them off my personal goals by January, which was great.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I've actually heard, Steve Harvey talk a lot about that, like actually writing a list and reading it every day. He actually, challenges people to create a list, a 300 item list, which is insane. Which I'm up to. I think I'm up to 100 now, and I try to read that, every day, every morning, every night, because again, what you're thinking about is where you're guiding, you're guiding your life. And I love that you have that list, because it's definitely helping navigate, and it helped obviously you navigate through some really tough times. So that's awesome. Is there anything you both just really want to quickly share on something that maybe is something you're doing today a little bit, something an actionable or an action item that you could share? Maybe it's just, hey, I'm going to go take a walk on the beach because I just feel like I need that, and I need to connect with nature. I spent the whole weekend, um, you know, pounding the pavement and dropping off, um, newsletters to my farm, whatever it is, like, is there anything that you're doing today, and how are you doing that to ensure that your mindset is going to be set for the day?
Well, I already got on the treadmill this morning. I read a few chapters in some books. I have journaled and I write down my affirmations every morning. The same one that I write down multiple times, just the same phrase over and over again for at least 30 to 60 days. so that it's ingrained in me. And that's kind of how I start my day to kind of reset. But I do love getting out in nature for sure. But today, the day got, I have a lot of appointments, so treadmill it was.
Nice, Jody. Nice.
Yeah, I definitely like going on walks every morning to get my day started. I did not this morning, but I definitely like going outside and going on a walk. I listen to a podcast or a book, whatever book I'm reading at the time, and just around the neighborhood for 30 minutes and gets my day started. And then before that, I always write down everything that I have with requests and appointments and all that stuff. I have a handwritten list that I write every morning to make sure um, I stay on top of my day.
Nice. Well, thank you both for being on here today. Like I always say, it adds so much value to our community, to I think to each other, and we'll be looking forward to sharing all these little sound bites and you know connecting with you guys later this week. Would love to have you guys tune in and back on. So we'll be in touch, and if you have anything that comes to mind throughout the week, or in conversation, would love to hear from you guys, even if it's a text. Hey, this is a great topic that I came across. We're just trying to really add value in these times, and I know a lot of agents super busy, but at the same time, that's even more when we need to dig deep and make sure our mindset's right. Because when you get tired, when you get busy, overworked, you get tired, and that's when we can all get a little sloppy with our thoughts, with our moods. So anyways, keep at it. Thank you both. And we'll have you both back on, and would love to hear more from you guys.
Thanks, David. Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you both or hear from you both.
Yep.
Likewise. Talk soon.